matchups to be played today and plenty of scores to be settled as well. Welcome everybody back to the Overwatch League. My name is Mitch, Matt Morello over here. And our first match of the day is already promising to be quite the firecracker. Yeah. These two teams, there is a little bit of a score to settle, as I mentioned before, Matt, given what went down in that last playoffs towards the end of last year. Yeah, these two teams met up in our overall league playoffs last season. The Gladiators came out. They were looking great in the first series. If you remember this is where they came out with a comp where Forté came out on Brigitte, then switched to the Widowmaker in the spawn. Really caught them off guard. This is a great moment for the Gladiators. The rest of the series was not. It was really London just running through them the rest of the way. Yeah, I mean, we played that entire match over multiple best-of-5 series. The Gladiators actually won that first best-of-5 pretty comfortably, and then the Spitfire came out of nowhere, dominated them in the next two best-of-5s, and then went on, of course, to become our inaugural season champions. We didn't expect London at that point, especially during that series, to be so strong. So the Gladiators would have to have a chip on their shoulder. This was the team that kept them out of those finals. Yeah, and you didn't expect it from the London Spitfire because the Gladiators were great against London last year. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they were undefeated against the London Spitfire last year. That's 4-0. They did not lose outside of the playoffs. I believe they even beat them in the preseason, so you want to throw that one in there. 5-0, and they end up losing that series and missing out on their grand final chance. And the Gladiators now bring in, I guess, a new weapon into the fold, Matt. Of course, one player hyped up a heck of a lot in the offseason was this man here, Decay. Played on Kongtu Panthera over in Korea with Raw. This was actually, he was part of the roster that lost Season 2 of Contenders Korea in that best-of-5, that 5-map series against Runaway, who, of course, we now know to be Vancouver Titans. Yep. Very high expectations for this player. There was a bidding war over him. So you better believe the Gladiators dug deep into the pockets to make sure they could secure him, Matt. Yeah, and I imagine you see him play a lot of Zarya with the way the meta is right now. 3 tanks, 3 supports. You put him into that front line, where Surefour was. You can put Decay in. He has good teamwork with Roar. They played in the past, and then Void, a very strong Diva player. So I think you potentially could see him get a lot of run on Zarya today. Well, let's bring him out, Matt. Ladies and gentlemen, shields up for the Los Angeles Gladiators. Gladiator, 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 to fight with the gods and the giant slayer. I feel that. They got themselves their own song now. I like that. Hydration, obviously, leading the front, and Decay doesn't get us to be starting in this roster. I love Hydration. He's such a funny character. He plays with such aggression, but he's a very low-energy individual when you sort of even talk with him. I love, like, the song starts blaring. It's like Gladiators, and he walks out. He's got this, like, straight face on, like, no emotion. Like, no, but he's such a key part of this lineup, right? I mean, he's almost a player who last year, like, rarely came out because he can play so many things at a high level. A lot of times you see there's somebody who's a damage dealer. They really only kind of stick to a few heroes. He can play a lot of the damage dealing ones. We see him pick up Brig. We even saw a little bit. He played Lucio on Achilios last year. He can play so many heroes at a high level. Really important to this lineup. Well, how about this one, Matt? 0-2 in week 1, 2-0 in week 2. Let's welcome back to the stage the London Spitfire. Is this what you get, Matt, when you make changes, in your roster? You put Profit over on Zarya instead of Brigitte. You sort of rotate Birdring out of the lineup for the time being. Because Profit Zarya has been incredibly dominant. You cannot get by in this meta without a top-tier Zarya player. I mean, last week alone, we saw the record for most damage done in a map broken in a series we casted by 2 Zarya players. And then when we get right off, the next series that goes on, they break it again. I mean, Zarya is such a damage-dealing hero right now. You need to put your best player that you got on the roster in the damage-dealing role on her. Profit's the best one by far you got here for London. And of course, Guard being brought into this roster, initially he was looked at for his Sombra play, now playing a little bit more of the Brigitte in a lot of the setups here. But they look like a different team after week 2. We need to see if that's a trajectory that's going to continue and be positive for them, because it really looked like they had a good handle on how to play this 3-3 setup. Look, I mean, now that you put Profit in on Zarya, you look at their front line and you compare it to a lot of other teams. There's not many that have it better than the London Spitfire, and that's where you saw them win the 2 matches last week. They come out of that. How do they perform here, though, against the Gladiators, a team that we think could contend for tops of the stage by the time it's done? No doubt about it. The Gladiators, Matt, up and down over this first couple of weeks. That match against San Francisco, shock was definitely a positive one for them. you know, in a couple of matches here and there, they've just not been able to pick up. So Decay coming into this roster, you know, someone like Walkabout, I'll tell you a lot more about it. But as we jump into this one here, let's check out our map set brought to you by Toyota. Busan will be the first map in this series.
In Busan, we do see a lot of times, though, Mitch, where you don't play a lot of 3-3. You can play a lot of interesting comps. So maybe this is a point where we see Decay play some of the other heroes in his hero pool. You know, primarily, though, I think when you see the 3-3, you'll see him play a ton of Zarya. But I think Busan, you know, with how different a lot of the points are, you do see a lot of Widowmaker here, right? I know we see Happy on the charge select Widowmaker like all the time.
Absolutely.
We see the Shock bring in Striker for this map, and he plays a ton of Widowmaker. So it'll be interesting what we see out of the Gladiators. I don't know if London can match that because London's Widowmaker player is Birdring. Birdring not in the lineup. Guard has primarily been the one who has subbed in for him. Have not seen his Widowmaker yet. You imagine, I know somebody of his caliber can play the hero, but you haven't seen it go up against like a top tier one yet. So see if the comps get crazy if London opts into it or they stay with this Winston version of the 3-3.
Out of the gates, it looks like Winston's going to be the pick for them here. On the side of the Gladiators, Decay will make his debut on Zarya. Perhaps not a huge surprise to us. We're going to discuss that would be the case earlier on. Gesture over the top already, and they've actually managed to put a bit of pressure on Decay. He's been forced to back up. He's down a half as he's Raw. And still the Gladiators want to push on though. Raw very aggressive at the front, and they managed to find Profit early. Remember, your odds of winning a team fight when losing Zarya as the first pick are incredibly low.
Just look at how aggressive the Gladiators getting here. They don't even worry about the point. They just get Decay all charged up. You know, that first thing, when London comes out with the Winston version of the 3-3, that's kind of what they want to play. You know, Gesture loves playing Winston. It's where he's at his best. You come out, you protect yourself against them running a lot of DPS-heavy compositions, and then you also get them on your best hero. They're just not able to win that first fight. Look at the aggression. They're just pressuring down the front line of the London Spitfire.
And they noticed that Gesture, the bubble was given to him, had expired, and Profit wasn't able to get a lot of energy off of that one. So they come forward and you hear the rally sort of signifying that. The Spitfire have to respond in kind because quite frankly, they just need that extra durability. As more blows are traded, you see Decay should be getting pretty close to max. There it is, he just runs over the top of Profit there. The Discord Orb helping in a big way. But late in the fight, Zarya with high charge and full health, it's a very good sign.
I mean, his average energy at 70% here. Really early in our first map, but good start. And I think what you see from the Gladiators, get really aggressive on a Gesture, because if you believe that you don't think his Reinhardt is up to the same par as Roar, you want to put pressure on him, force him to make mistakes. And when you get right up in his face, that's when you know he's going to start calling for bubbles maybe a little bit earlier. You're able to disengage, then go back in. Force him to make some mistakes in that role.
Shuttle doesn't quite connect, but Gesture was low when he got discorded. And then Decay, again, running over the front line of the Spitfire. And now they can just chase up some of these killers. This puts Big Goose right on top of his sound barrier. Hydration, the rally, 3 support ultimates, and 70% on the clock. That's a very efficiently won fight from the Gladiators.
And you're not even burning any of the big ultimates you have here for the Gladiators. They use the Shatter, it doesn't really connect with anything. But you still have, you know, the self-destruct plus the grab combo. You have all your support ults in a really good spot. London's going to have to invest heavy in this just to even get close to taking the point.
Both teams with their Graviton Surges. This is about to get messy, this team fight, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of those ultimates are going to get used. It is going to be the Graviton Surge from Decay. Transcendence from both teams. And a self-destruct in the back. Well set up, and Fury was picked off. The defensive rocket, the Spitfire missing. Guard is run over, and the Gladiators just look indomitable so far. There is a back cap going on. It will be nuts to try and keep this round going, but he's been discovered. Big Goose just being propelled forward by the rest of his team. Nuts will just have to stall if he can, but he's booted back, and that's it. Good early showing here from the Gladiators. I mean,
I would say that I would probably categorize that a little bit better than good.
I mean, let's look.
I would go a tad higher than good.
Let's look at the average energy comparison between Decay and Profit in that.
I mean, it's 76% for Decay. It's 19% for Profit. But you can't build energy if everybody's dead and everybody's dying. And your main source of generating that energy, which is Gesture playing the main tank, whether it's Winston or Reinhardt's, pretty much dead at the beginning of the fights. I mean, you have Gesture get 3 deaths there, which isn't like a crazy amount, but in this meta, that's kind of the game. Profit does have 4, but only 1,600 hero damage from Gesture, so he's not really even alive long enough to like get in, put down some damage, where he has to be a target, then you put the bubble on him, then you start generating some energy, like he's just dead straight away.
Shaz has a large amount of damage amplified by Discord Orb, about 1,600. Oh, about 1,300, should I say, after that first run. So the Zenyatta Orb's very crucial here. The Spitfire again, they want to play with the Winston in the 3-3 setup, Matt. The Gladiators surely will look to punish this.
And the Gladiators just playing the Reinhardt right now. They just want to sit on the point, Mitch. They want to force Gesture in. They want him to make a mistake. Take out that Winston first. A lot like the last time. Force them back onto the Rein combo of the 3-3. Just look at Roar. He's like not even putting his shield on. He's just running in with the hammer. Like there's no worry. Because there's no shatter coming from the other team. There's nothing that he really needs to worry about. Because Prophet's not charged up. He's not lobbing in those alternate fires, putting down tons of chunk damage. Like Roar, I mean, once they put the Discord on him, if he runs in, I mean, great. You don't have the burst damage like the Rein hammer swinging through you, plus like the Zarya. They just throw a bubble on him, clear it off, and just keep moving forward.
So, I mean, the Spitfire have to lean on a Transcendence in this next fight, but of course the Gladiators have one of their own. The Graviton from Decay will be forthcoming, so it's just as well they had the Zenyatta ult. The Spitfire, they'll need it. Decay to push in, again charged up, and once more, Gesture out of position, or at least he was forced out of position by the Brigitte of Hydration. The Spitfire once again lose one of their core players before the fight really starts.
And they're not going to win the battle approaching it that way. When you see Gesture kind of stand out into the open as that Nusk gets staggered a little bit, he's got his shield up, and they're just burning down his shield. And where is Roar? He's just playing the other side of the pillar with his shield down. Not losing any of his shield. You're just burning down Gesture's shield to the point where he's just kind of like hopping in no man's land, trying to get around the corner. He gets shot back into the rest of the Gladiators and get taken out really quickly.
Roar is about doubling Gesture's damage per 10 currently, which makes sense given that he's been alive longer and been in all winning fights.
But like, watch this positioning, right? So like Gesture now like makes it around the corner and he just puts a shield down, but Roar at a good position there.
Look at Decay, almost forcing the Spitfire back on his own with that damage. Graviton surged out, but Decay has one as well. Hydration charged out there by Gesture. That's one casualty for the Gladiators here, but his self-destruct doesn't quite connect. It was Gesture able to keep up the shield, but walked straight into a shatter. Poop away. Roar is knocked out of the picture, but Void's still able to follow up and remove Gesture. It's traded out though as Roar gets caught by Prophet, is forced away from the fight. Shaz takes a huge Zarya left click, and he's out of there.
London will flip 99% though to the Gladiators, but they did invest a ton into that fight. You expect when you come back, there'll be a Grav waiting for you from Prophet, Gesture with the shatter. So I think you're gonna probably see like 1 or 2 fights that the Spitfire win rather convincingly. And then you'll see the Gladiators with some ultimates start to really invest into these fights.
That may all have been the first fight that they've won in the entirety of Busan. They were very quiet first round. Again, these compositions can allow you to snowball, especially if they feature the Reinhardt. Gesture went for the shatter there by the looks of things and didn't really come up with any results. Roar is Discord, Prophet's trying to get past the shield, and Vidoshin finally allows the Spitfire to break through. Once again, the Gladiators will be routed.
But it's like night and day, right? I mean, now you see Prophet holding up like that 90+ charge. You start to see him lob it in. Those alternate fires chunking players down. It's, you know, when you can keep that Zarya, you keep the energy up, stay alive, just provides so much extra damage, especially when now like Decay's coming out of the spot, right? 0 charge, he's gonna have to build himself back up over numerous bubbles to even get close.
Zarya in the 3-3 is feast or famine. Decay experiencing now the latter side of that spectrum. But a Graviton surge would be nice. Again, just needs to get that charge up. He's taking that one bubble, gives him up to 50. And he's telling Roar, you can go forward, I can shield you. It's a lot of poke damage, fire strikes and all the rest. All Decay very low. But Roar wants to go aggressive regardless. That's interesting. Earthshatter comes out, they bait that all away from Gesture, and now the Transcendence is brought into play. Both teams using their Zenyatta Rod to keep them nice and healthy. Earthshatter from Roar. He tried to set up the self-destruct, and Gesture was taken down by it. Now Decay trying to get to the backline towards Vidoshin, but he's caught like Graviton himself. It doesn't matter. They still cut him down. Despite this Fury coming in from the top rope. A very important self-destruct there to take the momentum away and to keep the Spitfire now in this one. They're going to take away this second round, and it's going to make it best of 3 here in our first map.
You see Prophet end up building towards another grab towards the end. Fury with the perfect self-destruct. So London ties it up. have they been one of the hardest teams to judge just because
I don't know,
how
you go 0-2 then 2-0?
but it's not even like you can lose 2 games and win 2 games and you still are kind of like valued the same, right? No, I think like look, the Shock lose a few games, we still think pretty highly of them. It's like just the fashion that London lost, like kind of like lost, and then like they come back and they just storm through 2 matches. It's like there's not really like it seems like we either get like the really good one or the kind of average.
This composition snowballs out of control.
Yes.
Especially with the Reinhardt, less so with the Winston in a 3-3. Because once you have that ultimate advantage, it could be 3 fights before the other team can actually get back at you and even have an ultimate advantage of their own. Raw, a lot of damage here. This time the Spitfire want to get slightly more aggressive. Raw out of position, caught by the Fire Strike.
And that is perfect there from London. They're doing the same thing that the Gladiators were doing to them earlier. When the Gladiators were getting aggressive, they were taking advantage of Prophet not having any charge and then pushing on through, using Decay to chunk players down, getting Gesture out of position. Right there, Prophet gets a ton of charge at the beginning. They push right through right away. They know he's charged up. They know he's got more charge than Decay. Push on through. Prophet gets low here. You're going to have to back out, maybe reset a little bit, allow the Gladiators to gain some space.
Again, those walls are coming up and down, essentially randomly, or at least not in a predictable fashion. So the last thing you want to do is try and go for a self-destruct or a shatter, and that wall sort of pops up here. Gesture, though, for some reason, it seems that Raw wasn't really too worried about him, despite the fact that he was inching further and further towards the left, getting in a position to stick an Earth Shatter behind the shield. Well, it seems to have worked out for the Spitfire now, and look, I spoke a little bit with Flame, obviously GM of Houston Outlaws, and you know, one of the things that he's quite adamant about right now is that the aggressive team, the team that just holds W, is generally going to come out on top with this 3-3 effort.
I mean, it makes a ton of sense in the fact that usually when you're playing aggressive, you're running together, and then when you force the other team to react, somebody reacts one way, they think the other person's going to react a different way, and that's when you can start to get some confusion.
Especially against teams who can't communicate effectively on the fly if there is a language barrier there. Nice little double shadow, but Ocean still had the Transcendence in play. Raw charging through, managed to find guard. And that makes it a 6v5. The Spitfire now have the jockey back a little bit more, and eventually they just will run out of steam in this fight. Not a moment too soon for the Gladiators to retake control. Fairly deep investment, though, in that fight in terms of ultimates from both sides.
Prophet was trying to make it out with his charge, like loop around and then go back through the tunnel, and he actually gets stunned up by hydration, not able to make it out with all of that charge. So you lose some of that.
I mean, it was talked about a lot, I think, during that San Francisco-Vancouver match, because you know, Sinatra was being targeted pretty heavily. They were trying to make sure that, you know, he was very good at getting charge, and getting up to 100 charge. And they really, the Vancouver team wanted to make sure that he wasn't able to do that kind of damage all the time. Target the Zaya, that's how you do it. Well, you see Jesse goes for an Earth Shatter. There was a self-destruct thrown over his shoulder, but it must have just been out of line of sight towards the left, if you're looking from this perspective. Void charges forward. It was Guardi with the Discord orbit at the time, and now the Transcendence. Raw charges ahead of it, knows it's time to get aggressive, and Gesture is yielded as a result. 43% to 66, and with the Gladiators still in the driver's seat right now, they're looking fairly good to put the Spitfire in a position where they must win the next fight.
Yeah, and if you're London, what do you do? I mean, you don't have a Transcendence to get through Decay's Graviton Surge. I mean, you will get it here coming into the next fight. It's like Prophet also has the grab, but you hate to like grab out of your own tunnel.
Yeah, you don't want
to. It's just not ideal.
You want to use ultimates just to put yourself on even.
But I mean, you know, dropping to the point, and then if they don't fall for it and stay on the high ground, you're not really going to have any follow-up with your grab anyway. So, but look, I mean, the Gladiators are just going to keep rotating around. London's going to try and beat them to the spot here and land a big grab.
Gladiators want to force London to commit. You notice that Decay isn't super charged up right now. It was a big lull in between the fights where he would have lost that charge. Transcendence here from Guard, very important. Keeps the Spitfire in this one comfortably. Sorry, from Bedosian, should I say. And again, the Gladiators wanted London to commit to the point, but they had to filter on sort of one by one.
It was really nice from London. Like I was mentioning, you wouldn't have gotten a great use of the grab if you used it at the top of your tunnel. When they pushed all the way through, the Gladiators kind of rotated around. The issue is when they saw London drop, they should have probably just stayed up on the high ground. You know, use some more of Decay's right click, so you could have probably sent your Diva down to go contestral kick, come back up. You can keep rotating it. You would have gotten a little bit more percentage. You would have got closer to 90.
London's ults are looking great right now. In fact, they kind of had to lean into a big shot here from Gesture. They want to try and set it up for him, but he's being targeted. His shield's so low, and other transcenders for the Gladiators. They need to start the fight up. Gesture trying to be patient. He had to hold the shadow, but he had no choice. Leicester puts London in 99 to 89 position. They give the point willingly, knowing that they had to lose Gesture in that fight to come back with more, but they have to be very quick. They cannot spend too much time trying to position on the point. 98%, they must touch now. Fury drops on first. He gets shielded up, and he'll get picked off as a response. He doesn't leave up a self-destruct, so a chance to get his mech back. He doesn't lose a whole lot in that exchange, and Shaz goes down. Fedosian picks him up. Shadow attempt there, knocks Big Goose on his rear end, and Void trying to go for the self-destruct, but the walls come up. Gesture shield also protects the Spitfire. Big Goose going down now. It's looking very good for London to turn this around in the last few moments. Decay now has to look on in dismay and really be the only man to challenge on to this point now with Void being demeched and dispatched, and there it is, map 1, London. Out of nowhere, in the final moments of that fight, Matt, they managed to accept that Gesture will go down first. They back off, they bring him back, they win.
And right at the end, Big Goose going for that sound barrier, trying to keep everybody up. He falls, and then everybody starts to drop there for the Gladiators.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.